First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakah Kodash. Yahweh is who this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Bahashim means in the name. Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's on the Paleo Hebrew. Also give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Today's video, I wanted to go into this topic right here, Black Central Europe, right? And this is a website which brings out a lot of truth. When you go into it, they have a lot of truth, a lot of pictures of history that has been omitted, and ultimately going into it says we bring you over 1,000 years of Black history in the German-speaking lands and show you why it matters right now. Okay, and that's what I want to talk about is primarily Revelation 20, but ultimately how this all ties together. And the fact of the matter is that for 1,000 years, for 1,000 years, roughly 400 AD to 1400s, so-called black people ruled all of Europe. Okay, and this is something that we are not taught in the American school system. All we're taught is, oh yeah, these Negroes, all they were slaves, and anything past the point of slavery, there's no history, right? They only go back as far as slavery. And the reason why is because if they kept going back, our true identity of being Hebrew Israelites would be revealed. So that's what I want to touch on today, is how those 1,000 years were prophesied and bringing out the proof and receipts. So I'm going to just read a little bit over this website. It says, founded in 2014, the Black Central European Studies Network is a network of historians spread across 4 different time zones and located on 2 different continents. We argue quite simply that black people have always been a part of Central European history. And one key point that I want to bring up is that there's no such thing as a black person. Okay? A black and white, all that is a social construct. Okay? What there is, though, is lineages. Okay? The so-called white man, a majority of them go back to being Edomites. So-called black people, the ones specifically here in America, the Negroes, majority of them go back to being Israelites. Right? So that's something we do have, is lineages. Okay? It's not based on color, black and white. Okay? That's too vague. So one key point I want to add is when they're quoting black people, they're talking about the Israelites that were over there ruling. So it says, we argue quite simply that black people have always been a part of Central European history. Different events and forces brought Central Europe and the black diaspora together. Trade, diplomacy, and the arts fostered cultural exchange. Slavery, imperialism, and war shaped the categories of race and nation that still greatly affect black people in Central Europe today. Right, so they have this whole website going into images, right, relics that were left. Okay, so the one I wanted to talk about today is this one right here, the Wild Men and the Moors, circa 1440. And it says, this remarkable medieval tapestry depicts a battle between giant wild men clothed only in forest products or perhaps their own hair, and the civilized defenders of a castle. Of course, most notable is the contrast in skin color and the reversal of our expectations that white should denote civilization and black the lack thereof. The wild giants with their unkempt hair and beards attack with sticks and stones, and the other 2 sections of the tapestry, they battle with the lion, a dragon, and a unicorn, heraldic symbols representing authority and power, and then present gifts of wild game to a mother and child in a cave. In case we were in any doubt as to the level of civility among these white men, one of the gift givers has prominent fangs. The black defenders, by contrast, inhabit a fortified castle and fight with bows and arrows. The men's neatly groomed beards, robes, and headbands identify them as Saracens or perhaps as black converts to Christianity. Their king, queen, and princes watch anxiously from the keep while heralds call out for assistance. Now, when you go down to the picture, right, this is the picture that they're talking about, and this was from the 1440s. And on the left, you have all these pale, looking so-called white people. They're Edomites. And on the right, you have dark-skinned people, Israelites. And you have these Edomites with sticks and stones in their hands, pretty much cave people, cavemen, attacking a civilized group of people. Okay, and what we're seeing right here is the history that is omitted, okay, in all these education systems, right? What you're seeing right here is the Dark Ages, as they call it. Right, the Dark Ages is a term used to describe the period in Western European history between the fall of the Roman Empire and the Renaissance. The term is often used to refer to the early Middle Ages, but can also refer to the entire Middle Ages. The term Dark Ages was coined by the Italian poet Petrarch in the 14th century. Petrarch and the other Italian scholars believed that the centuries following the fall of the Roman Empire were a time of decline, and that their own time was a time of renewal classical culture. They portrayed the period as the time of uncultured barbarians, evil tyrants, and superstitious peasants. And the fact of the matter is that this is all lies. Okay, it wasn't a time of decline, okay, of no innovation. Okay. The reason they say that is because they, okay, were the ones in the period of decline, of low innovation. Okay, the Edomites were at the bottom. Okay, and this is prophecy. How the Edomites were going to be at the bottom of society for 1,000 years, and that there was going to be nothing they can do to gain into power. Okay, here it is. You see one of them with like a gift in his hand, right? And none of that was going to get them into power. Okay, and it's prophecy. But before I go there, let's read a little bit more. It says, uncultured barbarians on the left. That was dumb. You know, that's where when they get this whole concept of we get taught in the schools of we come from cave people. No, that's not true at all. The Most High Yahweh created us all. Okay, the reason they bring up that the concept of evolution and we all come from cave people is to hide their history, right? Hide the history that they were the cave people, right? So in order to hide that, they included everybody. Oh no, we were all cave people, not just us. Okay, because you search up wild men. Okay, the wild men. These were the Edomites. It says the wild man of the woods, or woodwoes, is a mythical figure and motif that appears in the art and literature of medieval Europe, comparable to the satyr or faun type in classical mythology and to Sylvanus, the Roman god of the woodlands. The defining characteristic of the figure is its wildness. From the 12th century, it was consistently depicted as being covered with hair. Images of wild men appear in carved and painted roof bosses where intersecting ogee vaults meet in the Canterbury Cathedral. In positions where one is also likely to encounter the vegetal green man, the image of the wild man survived to appear as supported for heraldic coats of arms, especially in Germany. Well into the 16th century, Renaissance engravers in Germany and Italy were particularly fond of wild men, wild women, and wild families. Okay, and when we read all this right here, it's talking about these people. Okay, the Edomites at a low estate. Okay, it's just that people would see these Edomites in the woods, they spaz out. Okay, and they were referred to as mythological. But there's nothing fake, okay, about these woodwells. It's just the Edomites, okay? So, the term Dark Ages is rarely used by academics today as it is considered biased and inaccurate, right? Biased because, like I explained earlier, the term is based on the relative scarcity of literature and cultural output from the period, but there are advancements made outside of Europe. The term is heavily biased towards ancient Rome and doesn't take into account the innovations that occurred in the Arab world, right? Because during that time, what you had, the people that you had ruling were today considered the Moors, okay? Which the Moors were Israelites that believed in Islam, okay? And that's where you get the innovations that occurred in the Arab world. So, now, with all that said, okay, I wanted to bring out this image because this is a powerful image that's going to tie into the prophecy I'm about to read. So, going into Revelation, the 20th chapter, this is Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Okay, now when you read all this, these four terms, dragon, old serpent, devil, and Satan, simply putting it, this is talking about the Edomites. Okay, let's prove it. When you go into that word devil, let's see what it means. Diabolos. It means prone to slander, slanders, accusing falsely, a calumniator, false accuser, slander. This is the point. metaphorically applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of God, may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him. Okay, and that's exactly what we're going into right now. Okay, these Edomites, okay, they oppose the Most High. They act the part of the devil. They are the wicked. And we're seeing the fruits of their labor right now. Okay, they're ruling the earth, and what do you see? Wickedness. Okay, wickedness multiplying. Actually, that made me think of a scripture come to mind in First Maccabees. Okay, this goes to show what I'm just saying right now. This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 7. So Alexander, this is talking about Alexander the Great. Okay, the first, pretty much the one that brought the Greeks into power. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. Right, his 4 generals took over. It says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Now, the question is, why were evils multiplied when Alexander and his generals, his servants, started ruling? The reason is because they are Edomites. Okay, and this was the beginning of the Edomites ruling. Okay, the Greeks. After the Greeks, it was the Romans. Okay, and then Rome fell, and ultimately the Romans came back by the way of 1400s Renaissance. Okay, they aren't called Romans no more. It's just Europeans, Americans. Okay, Rome is still alive, just by the way of America. But the point is, the reason evils were multiplied is because this was the beginning of the Edomites ruling. Okay, and all they know is wickedness. So, and if you don't know, the Edomites are the so-called white people. Okay, no such thing as a white person. In actuality, they are red. Okay, because their blood shows forth through their translucent skin. So that's what devil means. Okay, now let's look at Satan, Satanas. It says adversary. Okay, same thing as devil, one who opposes another in purpose or act the name given to. It says the prince of evil spirits, the inveterate adversary of God and Christ. Now, simply putting it, you have the spiritual demon Satan, right? But that's not the definition we want. We want this one right here. A Satan-like man. The same thing as you read from Diablos. A person acting, okay, doing the part of the devil, okay? A Satan-like man, which is these Edomites. So, it's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan here. It's talking about a Satan-like man. Now, let's go into the dragon. Okay, what is the dragon talking about? When you go to Revelation chapter 12, it talks about that dragon. Okay, let's start at verse 1. It says, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Okay, when it's talking about the woman, as they put it right here, it's talking about Israel. Okay, and the 12 stars represents the 12 tribes of Israel. It says, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Right, the child that this woman had, Israel, is talking about Yahweh. Okay, it's talking about the Messiah, which had Yahweh hadn't came yet. Okay, it says travailing in birth and pain to be delivered, right? Because that woman being Israel, that child was going to deliver the woman. Okay, talking about Yahweh coming back and saving us. So it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. Okay, and when they put the red dragon as Satan, that's not on point. This is not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. Okay, it's talking about the metaphorical. Okay, the second definition we read. Oh, I already closed it, but a Satan-like man. Okay, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now, when it says that his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, okay, what was the stars of heaven? Okay, we see the 12 stars here is talking about the 12 tribes. Okay, and when simply putting it, the great red dragon is talking about Rome. Okay, the Edomites. And during this time, when Yahweh was on the scene, you had the southern kingdom. Let me put that again. During this time that Yahweh was on the scene, all 12 tribes weren't over there in the land of Israel. Okay, when you go into the history, the northern kingdom, after the split after Solomon's 40 years of peace, the kingdom of Israel split into two: the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Okay, the northern kingdom went into the Assyrian captivity, and from the Assyrian captivity they went to America. You can read that in 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Now the southern kingdom, which consists of three tribes, okay, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, they went into the Babylonian captivity, into the Medo-Persian captivity, into the Greek captivity, and then into the Roman captivity. And this is where we're currently at, okay? This is the time in history where this was being read. So when it says his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, it's talking about the southern kingdom, right? Because only the southern kingdom was there at the time. Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, right? The third part. Okay, and this is going into the Romans persecuting the Israelites. So it says, and did cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, okay, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now this is where we get the points of what that dragon is talking about, right? The child talking about Yahushai, and there's a dragon, okay, somebody trying to devour Yahushai. Now when you search up, or you know the history, you've read the scriptures, you know that the person trying to devour Yahushai was Herod the Great, right? Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1. Now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. Let me just click it. It says, saying, where is he that is born king of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Now, why was Herod the Great troubled? Okay, that the king of the Jews, okay, the Messiah, had been born. The reason why is because it was written plenty of times in the Old Testament that the Messiah, Yahushua, was going to come back to destroy the Edomites. Okay, and Herod the Great, he was an Edomite. Okay, Herod the Great, king of Judea. Now, if you search up Herod the Great's father, his father was Antipater the Idumean. Okay, and if you don't know what Idumean means, Idumean is the Greek way of saying Edom. Okay, Idumean refers to a person or thing related to the ancient region of Idumea or Edom, which was located south of the Dead Sea in Palestine. The term is derived from the Greek of Idumea, and the Latin word is Idumea, right, which it means Edom, right? So Herod the Great was an Idumean, right, which contributed to his unpopularity among the Jews. Okay, Herod the Great was an Edomite, so because his father was an Edomite. So him knowing this, when he got the news that Yahushua was coming back, okay, he's like, damn, I'm fucked. So it says, and when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not thou the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Right, and this is going into a prophecy that was written in the Old Testament. Okay, let me see if I can actually find where that was at. Micah chapter 5. Let's do a little research. Right, but thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, who is going forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Right, so it right there shows you, okay, that these scriptures don't lie. This is written before the Messiah even existed, talking about where he was going to be born. So these people, they had that information. It says, then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. Right, but that was all him being deceitfully. He was not trying to worship Yahushua. It says, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. Now this is the point. It says, And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Okay? And that's the key point. Is I brought all of this out to bring out the history of what we're talking about, the context of what we're talking about in Revelation 12 and 4. Right? Who that red dragon is talking about. It says, And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Right? This is talking, but the red dragon is talking about Herod. Why does it say red? Because the Edomites are red. That's what Edom means. Edom means red. Okay, if you don't believe me, let's search it up real quick. As the scripture says, you got to prove all things. Right? Genesis chapter 25 and verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Right? Because Esau was trying to eat pretty much a bloody soup. Right? So he got called Edom. Red pottage. Okay, Edom equals red. So there you go. And it's funny that they still have that same tendency of eating raw meat to this day. Right? All these Edomites, I was eating the other day at a restaurant, and they asked me how I wanted my steak. I said, well done. Right? Scriptures talk about we're not supposed to be eating no blood. Right? And it was an Edomite, the one that was taking my order, and he's like, nah, you got to get it medium. Right? You got to get that red in there. I'm like, nah, I want it well done. And he was so insistent on getting my meat, medium. Hey, the reason why is because who he goes back to. Okay? This is the story right here. So all that eating raw meat, that's just their nature. But let's go back to Matthew. I'm going to read two more scriptures here. It says, When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken to the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Right? So Herod was trying to kill Yahushua. Okay, and that's what the red dragon is talking about, is Herod the Great. So now, with that understanding, when we go back to Revelation chapter 20, we understand now who is talking about with the dragon. Okay, Satan, devil. Now, when it's talking about the old serpent, it's still talking about the same thing. Okay, it's talking about the spirit of the wicked, right? And the old serpent is talking about in Genesis. Okay, the serpent that beguiled Eve. Okay, it wasn't an actual serpent. It was a man with serpentine features. Okay, a man that was deceptive, a man that had the knowledge of wickedness. Okay, that's what this all is going into. So that's a whole nother lesson, but the key and point is it's talking about the Edomites. It says, And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Right, so the Edomites were bound for 1,000 years. It says, And cast him into the bottomless pit, which is talking about Europe, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. Right, so they had a spiritual seal upon them, that no matter what they wanted to do, they could not gain into power for 1,000 years. And one of the reasons why is that so that they could not deceive the nations, right? Because that's what these Edomites do, is that they deceive, they lie. It says, until the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, right? So after the 1,000 years were fulfilled, okay, they were able to come back into power. And that's exactly what happened, right? When you go into, like I said, the Dark Ages, let's search it up. How long were the Dark Ages? Roughly 1,000 years. What a coincidence, right? When did the Dark Ages end? Right, it goes into 5th century until the beginning of the Renaissance in the 14th century. Okay, and that's the key identifier of the end of the Dark Ages is the Renaissance. Now, what is a Renaissance? They say the revival. Okay, or the Renaissance was a period of cultural, artistic, political, and economic rebirth in Europe that took place from the 14th to 17th centuries. The word Renaissance is French for rebirth, right? Renaissance, Renacimiento, the rebirth. But who was it a rebirth of? It was a rebirth of the Edomites. Okay, that was a prophecy being fulfilled of the 1,000 years being done, right? From 400 to 1400, okay, they had that seal upon them. And after the seal was loosed and they came back into power, they were reborn, the Renaissance. Okay, that's what it's going into. A Renaissance time period, right? 14th century, after the 1,000 years. So it all comes together when you look at the prophecy. And it says, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And this is one of the key points I wanted to touch on, is that right now, okay, we are in the little season. Ever since 1400 till what we're in right now, 2025, we've been in that little season, okay, of the Edomites ruling, okay, that dragon, the devil, Satan, okay. And the reason it says it's going to be a little season is because Yahweh Shai is going to come back to destroy these Edomites, okay. They're not going to rule forever. This is going to be for a little moment. So we're in that time period right now, and this right here, this understanding, this should give you hope, understanding, or it should give you hope that all this is going to end soon, right? I'm literally giving you the understanding, the prophecy right here, and we're literally seeing the downfall, okay, of this society in real time. We're seeing the morals completely go out the window at this point, right? With all this OnlyFans, right, prostitution, jumping from man to man, being promoted, transgender, all this wickedness is being promoted, and that's a key indicator of the downfall of a society. Right? There is this researcher that noticed that in every single massive society, okay, one thing about every single kingdom that fell is that right at the end of their fall, all of a sudden, women were being liberated, okay? Women started being liberated and given the ability to do whatever they want, sleep around with no consequence, okay? And we're at that point right now where mass liberation, okay, freedom of the women. And the fact of the matter is that it's not beneficial, okay? It's not beneficial. A lot of these females, they hate hearing that. and it's the matter of let me explain that easily. The reason why it's not beneficial to let a woman do whatever they want to do is because they have an emotional nature, okay? And if you're led on emotion, okay, you have no frame, you have nothing to go off of. You just do whatever you want to do because you feel that way, okay? And that's not consistent. Oh, she's gonna go cheat on you because she feels that way. That's what it leads to. But that's a different video. The point is, we're in that little season, and Yahushua is coming back. Let's get two scriptures to back that up. Okay, this is Daniel chapter 8, and I'll start at verse 23. It says, in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Okay, and that's going into these Edomites. It says, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Okay, and the reason it says that is because these Edomites got power, they're mighty, but it's not because of their own will. It's the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Right, it's his power, Yahweh's power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Right, go look at what they did to our people in slavery. Right, that was destroying the mighty and the holy people. Okay, and hey, we're still in slavery right now. It's just that the bondage is now in that cell phone. Okay, the bondage is now by the way of taxes. Okay, laws and legislations. As it says in verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Right, through the laws and legislations, they're able to do all their wickedness. Right? And that's insane. They can justify themselves by writing down something in a piece of paper they wrote themselves. Saying, that's pretty much what they did when they came over here to the Americas. Right? They wrote in a piece of paper saying, this land is ours. And they showed that to the so-called Native Americans and killed them. Obliterated them because, it says in this piece of paper that we wrote that this land is ours. That's wicked. So through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. Right? What does it say? When they shall say peace and safety, then shall sudden destruction come. Right? These Edomites, they're not going to show you their nefarious acts, what they're really doing. They always push forth the positive agenda. Oh, we're doing this for your benefit. Oh, we're going to put that chip in your hand so we make sure it's you. You're protected. Blah, blah, blah. When in actuality, if you take that chip, there's no mercy. Okay? You have no shot to make it out of here. It says, he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Okay, and that's exactly what's coming soon. Okay, that little season is about to end. And it's going to happen by the way of the prince of princes, Yahweh Shai. Okay, breaking these people without hand. Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to obliterate these Edomites. Let's read it in Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom, with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Now, who is the one that is mighty to save? Who is the one that, as it says here, the day of his vengeance is in my heart, the year of my redeemed is come? Yahweh Shai. Okay, so it says, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? Right, so it's a question to Yahweh Shai. Right, why is your garment, your apparel, your clothes red? Like if you were stepping on grapes, right? All red, just splashed everywhere. He says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there is none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. And it's exactly what Yahweh Shai is about to do. He's about to bring mass judgment on these Edomites. Right? Hey, when he was coming back with the red, okay, the bloody clothing, he was coming back from Edom, from destroying these Edomites. Okay, America, all that. So, that's what is soon is coming. You know, that's the prophecy of Revelation 20th chapter. Putting it in simple terms, for 1,000 years, the Edomites were at the bottom of society over there in Europe. Yet the Israelites ruling for 1,000 years. Okay, after the 1,000 years, these Edomites came into power, and it was called the Renaissance. Okay, and they've been ruling ever since. A key point I want to bring out also is the fact of the matter, more proof into what I'm saying. Now, this is a letter written by Benjamin Franklin, and it's titled Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, Peopling of Countries, etc. Okay, and this was written in 1751. Now, the key part I want to bring out is right towards the end, in 24, where Benjamin Franklin said, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Okay, and tawny goes into being like light skin. Okay, that's what it goes into. Like a lion, light skin. So, all Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. Right, so the American, or not Americans, but the Native Americans, the Latinos so-called, they were dark skinned, right? Black, as it says. And in Europe, this is the key point. The Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also, the Saxons only excepted. Right, so Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, Swedes, and Germans are what we call a swarthy complexion. Now, what does swarthy mean? Dark skinned. Swarthy means dark skin. Now, why is it that he put that there? The reason why is because these were the people ruling. The prophecy, the Israelites were ruling all of that. The original Vikings are not what they portray to be, looking like this. The original Vikings were dark-skinned people. So, there's a lot of history that has been hid, but this right here shows you the truth. It says the Saxons only accepted. Okay, the Saxons were those Edomites. Yeah. It says, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. He said, I could wish their numbers were increased, and while we are, as I may call it, scouring our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus, why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Right? So he was saying that, hey, us, the white race, we are the superior beings. Why should we darken our people? Right, mixing with these people, you know? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, when we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red? And that right there shows you their true color, the red. But perhaps I am partial to the conviction of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Right, going into racism. Right, racism is naturally instilled in us. Okay, and the fact of the matter is that the Most High, Yahweh, is racist. Okay, the whole point of racism, okay, goes back to how it used to be in ancient times. Of, oh, I'm from this tribe, I'm an Israelite, and you're over there Edomite. I don't like you because you guys are Edomites, and the Edomites don't like us because we're Israelites. That's racism. Okay, and it just goes back to tribe against tribe. So, as what he did say, it is natural to mankind. Okay, the Most High Yahweh has a chosen people. Okay, that's racist right there. So, explain that. But that's it for today. Hopefully this is edifying. With that, we'll give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Wadash, and double honors to the other bishops and apostles of great millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.